Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Patiently Waiting for Nothing podcast. And this is week 2. Yay! Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your day and the things that you have going on with you right now. We're just glad that we could come together and be a voice of comfort, maybe, right? Or at least some type of mental stimulation at any point, right? So, um, tonight we have a wonderful guest with us. We have Kim Perdue, and she'll be coming on in just a little bit. And we will be talking about aloneness and relationship. Now, as you recall, last week we spoke with Kiana Thompson, and she shared with us about fear. So if you didn't hear last week's show, you can listen to it after this one. We have it in the library. So you're welcome to go back and listen to that. And for those of you who would like to buy a copy of the book, we do have a Kindle version and it's on Amazon, right? And I believe it's only like $10. And it's called Patiently Waiting for Nothing by Shemsu-t. Okay. And the reason, again, that we're doing this now is that book was written about 20 years ago. And we were looking at celebrating the awakening that my person went through. That's what I was doing when I wrote the book. Of course, I didn't realize it then. And now we realize that it is very helpful for each of us right now. And so we wanted to go through each part and share with you our thoughts and what we're doing to actually make sense out of what seems to be such a chaotic time. Okay, so grab a beverage. You may even want to grab a pen and paper so that if there's any notes that you need to take, that you can write those down. Because a lot of times when we get to talking with these coaches, we start dropping knowledge and dropping authors and books and quotes and movies and videos. So we want to make sure that you're able to capture that. And of course, if you don't have that, that's quite all right because you just have to listen to it again. Okay, so just before I bring Kim on, I just want to say a little bit more about Patiently Waiting for Nothing, just because it is my baby. It's the first book that I wrote, and it was written because I felt like I needed to understand how to be fully joyful and patiently waiting for nothing. And then I actually dedicated this book to my mother. Her name is Eloise Montgomery Luckett. Now, she actually was alive when the book was published. However, she has since transitioned. And I did share the book with her. But most of you already know that my mom has been mentally ill since I was 5. So I have no idea, how she liked the book or whether she even cared if I um, dedicated the book to her. But I dedicated it to her because the first 5 years of my life, I remember my mother as mommy. I remember how she took care of me. I remember how she loved me, how she nurtured me, how she, of course, you can see me. I'm a little bit moved right now by that. But I remember our clothes being ironed. I remember our beds being made. There were just so many loving things, excuse me, that she did for us. Hold on. So I dedicated this book to her because in my soul, I knew that she was the mother that I chose to do this work through. Okay? So now, you didn't listen in to hear me talk. We're going to now go ahead and bring in our guest, Kimberly Perdue. Kim, are you there?
I'm here. Hey, Rita.
Hey, yay! Did wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Can you hear me okay? Yes, indeed. I love now, you know what I was thinking about today is that you and I have never met personally. Not physically, but I promise you the first time that you sent me an email, I felt your energy. Yeah. I literally could sense your yeah. Yeah, and so I just, I feel good about this too. Yeah, Miss Helen. Oh, yes. Oh, I love that. Oh my God. So see, I don't even have to ask you who you resonated with. Oh, well, that is beautiful, and that's wonderful. So, before we get into the book, though, I want you to tell people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and you can even talk about how we came together. I mean, I love how the universe, have us find each other. But let us get to know you. That was me muting, and you are located. Is it really windy? I mean, do you even know if it's windy today? Now that is deep. Now, now really. So, how in the world did you even find Master Force? Hmm. Right. Wow. I love it. I love these stories because it is just so it just shows us that we're in the right place at the right time and everything that we need. You can't. And I love her, and that is so interesting because I'm like that too. I'm not going to tell you what to do or who to do it with, you know. But when you show up, yes, that is wonderful. Thank you so much. So I am so grateful that you and I had the chance because I believe that you took a session where I was actually facilitating. I probably facilitate once a year. I allow the other coaches to facilitate, and you and I had a chance, and I told you then. I said, "Well, you're an eight of diamond. You're my karma card." So you're supposed to be here. Do you remember that? Yes. I'm like, you are supposed to be here. So very good. So Kim, I want you to know that I did notice that you put a post up that said, uh, "Why do I have to be the poster child for being a single woman?" And that is not the intention of tonight's conversation. So why don't you tell everybody what we're really talking about when we're talking about aloneness? Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Right? Say more about that. That it's not about a relationship status. Right? Yeah. Mm. Wow. Yeah, that's great because I mean, when you say it's not just the pretty parts, because, and not just the good times, right? Not just when you're, on top of the world and everything is
Mm-hmm.
going fine and you have all that you want and all the people. But even then, you need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to be with yourself. So tell me, so now when you have time with yourself, what have you discovered?
Okay, so and I really want to be able to differentiate like um, time with yourself and intentional time with yourself.
Okay.
So if you are a single person who lives alone, you are by yourself a lot. And I've been single all my adult years. So I've been by myself and quote unquote with myself a lot. But the thing is, I busied myself with other things. So I really wasn't spending time with myself.
Mm.
You know how in the book you talk about, um, the lust of the eye, TV,
Yes.
uh, whatever it is that you're doing to kind of busy yourself. So it's like you're by yourself, but you're not in tune with yourself. So I lived like that for a really, really long time. I was always on the go. Like all my friends who had children and married, they're like, Kim, you're busier than me. Because you always have something to do. Like I was just moving, moving, moving. But then I started to see myself in this cycle that was not serving. It was
Mm.
kind of self destructive. So it wasn't until I got intentional about knowing myself and really spending
Yes.
time with Kim.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so now what Kim looks like being alone is not just journaling, but it's meditation. It's um, going into those parts of me that I really kind of don't like,
Mm.
and accepting it.
Mm.
Some of it is I've learned to accept all of me and to know that I don't have to have every single answer this red hot minute. That I'm where I'm supposed to be. Um, I really believe my steps are ordered by God. I really believe that. So I no longer believe that I can mess up and go wrong.
Like there's no such thing, really, right?
There is no, it's an illusion. It's a lie.
Yeah, right? Like there is no wrong. You are here to experience life, and if you want to
Yes,
put good, bad, and ugly on that, that's all you. The
that's
universe, God is not judging you on that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, and I had to repeat to myself, and I repeat this a lot to other people too. Nothing is wrong with you. You're
Mm.
perfect. You're perfectly who you are.
Hmm.
And lean into that. Lean into that. Like get comfortable with that. Live there. Live with who you are. You are.
That's powerful. I too, Kim, like telling people, because it's like there is no you to compare yourself to. So you're the perfect you. You are it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when you start comparing yourself to other people, you are doing yourself and them a disservice, because you have a
Yep.
whole different map inside you than what they do. You know,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you know,
I agree. I
yeah.
agree. And I also think we kind of go against who we truly are in this figment of our imagination of what
Hmm.
we're supposed to be. And typically that comes from conditioning
Oh,
from the
yes.
out, not from within.
Oh,
So
yes.
then it almost kind of becomes like this battle with yourself
Man.
if you're not careful.
If you're not careful. I remember being young and married, and I was in
Mm-hmm.
a very physically abusive relationship. And
Mm.
the reason I stayed is because I did not want to be a single mother with children. Oh, God, right? Like,
Wow.
no way. Because here I am judging, yeah, deep, because I grew up in a family with single mothers with children, and I'm not gonna do that. We judge people.
Right.
I ain't gonna do
Right.
that. I ain't gonna do that. Well, here myself then went to college and got married, and then I'm in the worst relationship.
Mm.
But it, of course, it was part of my initiation. I get it now, and But I remember listening to an audio tape that said, "You are where you are because that is exactly where you want to be." And I turned that thing off. I was so mad. I would have thrown it across the room had I had a iPhone or something. But that was in the 70s. We didn't have that thing. But I could not listen to that for another 3 days because I was upset because I was not where I wanted to be. And so then when I sat still and listened to my spirit said, "Courage.
Mm.
Activate courage." And yeah, so, life changing because, I did then have some other things show up that transformed my life, but I had to step into courage. Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
it interesting that you have to have courage to deal with yourself
Oh,
and
man.
your own decisions? I Some of my clients, I teach them you're not living the cards that life gave you. You're living out the cards that you chose. And that's hard for people
Very hard.
because what we do, and it was hard for me until I really understood it. Um, because what we'll say is, no, I don't choose to have a job that I hate or people around me that I don't like or the weight that I am or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't choose that. But we a lot of times we're sleeping, we're not aware, and
Yes.
when you're not aware, you do start making these choices, and you're choosing. Nobody's putting a gun to your head. You're choosing it, but if you're not aware, you'll just be existing and not really living.
That's powerful, Kim. That's power. And we find that awareness in alone and being alone.
We do. That's where you find it.
And it's like I don't want to be alone. And I promise you, I have been alone. I'm sure more years than you. I'm sure.
Hmm.
I was so messed up in my younger years that even in relationships I was alone.
Yes. I hear you. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So tell me now, what ways do you deal with life when you find yourself not just alone but lonely?
Because it is a difference.
There is. Mm-hmm.
It's a huge difference. Well, I want to talk a little bit about how I used to deal with loneliness before I really started the journey of taking accountability for my
Okay.
life,
Yeah.
and before I really understood what alone was,
Mm-hmm.
and and the way I used to deal with loneliness was in a very self-destructive way because I did not want to be lonely and I was looking for connection from without. Um, for me, it showed up in bad relationships. I almost kind of feel like that happens a lot with women. It might not just be women, but I feel like because we're so nurturing and giving and loving, sometimes it kind of can get easy for us to get into these relationships that aren't the best
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's what happened with me. I just kept getting in these bad relationships, and what would happen is I would get out of one and go back to one that I had gotten out of before. And
Ah,
so
safety net.
it's hard.
Safety net.
Yes. And isn't it the craziest thing to be safe with and comfortable with trauma?
Oh, girl.
That is scary, but that
Mm-hmm.
was my life.
Yeah.
And one particular guy, I was on and off with him for 8 years, and 8 years is a long time.
Oh, yes.
It is a long time to actually go nowhere, but
Yeah.
to be devastated. And let me be clear, I am no angel, so I'm sure I rocked his world too, and not in the best way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when we're not clear on who we are and all of that, we gonna give some trauma to some other people too, all
Girl.
because of some other people too.
Yes,
And
indeed.
I have to be honest about that. But I'm okay to be honest with that because I'm cool with being alone. So I know my demons,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't have demons, but so to speak, I know
The
those
dark side. You know your dark side.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
okay.
You know
Yeah.
your shadows. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and it's all all parts of me count. I do not deny them,
That's right.
but I
That's
just
right.
don't let them rule me. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Hmm.
It's about getting it under subjection, ruling it and mastering it, and not ruling others.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I was in this cycle with this guy, and you know what happens, right? You know when you break up with someone, um, if you all get back together and whatever problems were there before, if that hasn't been solved, you're going to have those problems
Oh,
again,
yeah.
right? So for
Yes.
8 years, we broke up and got back together for the same exact reason. Now that I look back on it, it sounds really silly, but then it made sense.
Mm.
So that's is that it happened. But this very last time, because during that time I started doing work on him. I started getting really intentional, and I said, you know what? I have to get out of it. I can't do this. I can't do this to myself
Mm.
anymore because it's unfair to me. So yes, Kim, you are going to go through some loneliness. Um, uh, you're going to go through that not having that safety net. But it was a hard time for me, but the most beautiful time for me. It was kind of like
Wow.
recovery, because
Yes. Yes.
recovery is painful. There's
Yes.
nothing pretty about recovery, and it takes a lot of work and it's painful.
Yes.
But you have to go through recovery to get to healness, to get to being healthy and wholeness. So you need it.
You do need it.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So then did you ever find yourself when you were going through recovery that you stopped blaming the person and started realizing that they walked into your video?
I did. I did come to that point, and I
Mhm.
feel like that's when I really started getting free.
Wow.
That's where my freedom came from, where I said, yeah, this is not him. And that's, this is what happens with some of us. I know it happened with me. I was so busy fighting to be the victim, I did not realize when I turned into the villain.
Wow.
And
Say that again.
I,
Say that again. Wait,
yeah,
say that again. Say that
okay,
again.
okay. I said I was so busy fighting to be the victim, I did not realize when I turned into the villain.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I started doing my work for real, I said, "Oh my God, I'm the villain. It's
Wow.
me. It's me." And then I really, because it's like peeling back the onion, and you start really getting deep into things and figuring out why did I make this choice. And then I started realizing, oh my goodness, it wasn't even him that I wanted. It was the I wanted to win over uh, his children's mother.
Wait, hold on just a
Because
wait, hold on just a second, Kim.
mhm,
Someone said they can't hear you. So let me
okay,
hold on, cause you jamming here. Hold on.
okay,
Can you hear me, Kim?
yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay, let me see if this makes a difference. Okay, go ahead, keep talking.
Okay, yeah. So I was saying, it wasn't. I didn't stay all those 8 years because 8 years is a long time. And what I found that it was that I wasn't staying really so much because I loved him. It was ego.
It was your
I let
ego or his ego?
my ego.
Wow.
Yeah, my ego had gotten in the way because I was trying to win over his children's mother, because I felt like he held her in a high esteem. And I felt, well, I don't have his children, but if he chooses me, then I've won. So now I have to figure out, well, Kim, why are you trying to win over a woman you have no relationship with? You don't even know this woman. What is that about? It is not until you get into aloneness that you can unpack all of that. So I'm really glad that you allowed me to talk about this topic, because I know a little bit about it.
Girl, it sounds like you got some expertise going on here, because, we had not talked about all of this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it wasn't until I got to that point where I was able to take accountability and say, this is not him, this is me. Kim, this is your ego. And I like how Ralph Smart says it from Infinite Waters, how he calls the acronym ego edging God out.
Yes.
And I feel like when we edge God out, we edge ourselves out.
Yes.
Because God is in us.
That's right.
So it's like we're dismissing ourselves when we're too much into the ego. Which, as you know, I still struggle with.
Well, we all do. We are all a work in process. Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Work in progress.
We do not have to get it right. Some of us will take several lifetimes. So, and all of this one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So, just spending that time with in that aloneness place appropriately, that's where that freedom came from. I love the freedom section of this book, but I know that we're not talking about that. But I
think,
with you.
We're talking to Leela about freedom, right? That's coming. You'll be in about 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Very cool. So now, did you find yourself when you were going through this period of self-discovery? Did you find yourself in despair, crying, and actually being inside of the pain of feeling like you are alone and by yourself?
Yeah, I did. But you know what I learned? I learned that I needed to do that because I used to run from it. And I feel like when you don't deal with the pain part, if you don't deal with it, it's going to show up in another way. Typically, it's a toxic way. Yeah. If you don't deal with it, if you don't feel it. And, I've told some people this, but I'm going to share this because I think it's important to share it. There was a time that I dealt with deep depression and was suicidal years ago. Yeah. And now, it doesn't mean that now things don't come upon me that, if I'm not careful, won't send me into that spiral. But I have tools now. Yes. So you know what I do now? Yes. I say, Kim, you need to feel this. You're in pain. Okay? But it is going to pass. Yeah. So be okay with being in this pain and literally sit in it. Yes. And I need to sit in it and feel it. And it does pass. Yeah. But if we deal with it then we don't have to worry about later it coming out in, road rage or being mean to people that are just kind to us. That's pain. A lot of times that's just undealt with pain.
That is very powerful, because that pain has to go someplace. If you're not
it's got to move. It's going to be somewhere.
So if you're not going to deal with it and dissipate it. So this is what's beautiful about what you said. You said you sit in it. You actually feel what you're feeling. And I remember telling myself, we're just going to feel bring it on, universe. Give me all of it.
Yep.
I will feel this. And I would just lock myself in. Let me go through whatever this is, because I knew that it was mine. And I had to hold it and embrace it and deal with it. Yeah. But it was always freeing at the end. It was like, why did I'm so damn dramatic.
Right. You'd be like, I'm so theatrical.
Right.
I mean, come on. But yes, it is freeing when we sit in it. But we got to sit in it. We got to feel it. Which goes back to what you said. It takes a lot of courage to do that. It's just like addicts when they're considering going to rehab. they know it's going to be some pain.
Yeah.
It's going to be pain to get to the recovery or to the healing. And that takes courage to say, I'm going to take on pain for my better self. For my future
that's
self.
powerful too. You know, in Robert Schwartz's book, the what is it, Your Soul's Plan? He talks about, you know, alcoholism and drug abuse and all of that being a spiritual path. And
absolutely, yeah,
right. And I remember, because before I was engaged with his work, I always thought, oh, you got to help people get well. You got to help, and it's like, that's their path.
Yeah.
And part of that is that they're not really addicted to the substance. They don't want to feel the pain.
Yes.
So part of them is developing enough courage and then knowing that there's support around them, right? That they can deal with the pain. But the pain is going to be painful because in most of those addictions, you're creating even more pain because you stand as the victim.
Yes.
Yeah, and so you're going to beat everybody up on the way.
Oh, God, help. Yeah, that's so true.
So that's wonderful. So sit in it. That's powerful. Yeah. So how do you, when you're working with your clients, I'm sure you get a lot of pushback on that.
How did you know,
girl? I had one of my coaches tell me, Miss Reed, I can hear what you're saying, but right now I just want to punch you in your face. I sat there, I said, yeah, I can hear that. However, this is what we're working with right now.
Yeah, I do get pushback, but something in them clicks and says, but, you know, because, you know, we don't seek out our clients.
No,
they seek us out.
They seek us out.
They know within themselves, but I have a level of trust for you. So I'm going to do what you're telling me to do, and I'm not going to like it. And then what happens is they come back and say, oh, my God, that worked.
Yes.
Or I did what you said.
And I'm surprised. You know, but, they actually be surprised, don't they, Kim?
They do, yes. It's funny and rewarding to see all at the same time. But it's not, coaching is not for the faint of heart. It's, you know, it's a call. But being coached is not for the faint of heart either.
No. And that also takes courage too.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I put my clients through a program, and when they get to the end, I'm like, listen, you stayed the course. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's a win. So yeah, it's huge. It takes a lot of courage.
Well, and that's what we also feel like that when people actually complete our certification program, because everybody does. They can sign up, but they don't always get through it because we really do, you know, you literally have to empty yourself, surrender. You got to be willing to you have to be willing to be so coachable. That's
the thing. And I wasn't expecting that.
No?
No, I wasn't. I didn't know what to expect. But while I was going through it, I said, okay. So basically, I'm being coached.
Yeah.
Through this process. Okay, this is what this, but it is, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And you have to go through that process. You know, this is why I'm just glad that you've leaned into yourself and your call, because it sets the rest of us free and help us to do our work.
Yeah. And thank you.
And prepares us.
Thank you. Because I remember looking, I had to be in my early 40s when my spirit was like, you know, it's time for you to duplicate yourself. You know, you have to find.
Wow.
Right. And I was like, I don't have a clue what you talking about.
You know? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
and then my spirit said, well, look at what you've been sharing all these years. Create the curriculum. And when I tell you that I probably spent a year or two actually putting out what I've been teaching, I was like, wow, and all you have to do is just listen to your spirit. Your spirit will tell you exactly what to do. But you got to quit arguing.
It will. That's right. We got to lean into it.
Yes.
And just trust it.
Yeah. So, Kim, do you remember what the quote is from this section of Aloneness?
Yes. One of my favorite quotes, actually, in the book. It says, I acknowledge that God's peace is all around me and with me in everything that I say and do.
Wow.
And, it's interesting because when I saw the quote, like it sounds good, right? But, we have to really dive into what something is saying. And when I read the quote, you know what I thought to myself? I said, oh my goodness, I had been living in some ways where I was saying God wasn't enough. Because this quote is everything you need in life. God's peace is all around me and with me in everything I do and say. If we are not careful, we'll think aloneness means, lonely, when really you have everything.
Yeah.
Everything you need.
Yeah.
Everything you need. So it was in that quote was actually very enlightening to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now, you just lit a light bulb for me when you said that, because I can really see how, and I notice this in people's life, they live without God until there's a crisis. And then when there's a crisis, oh God, right? Yeah. Where's God?
That's right.
However, if God is with us all the time, when that crisis show up, it doesn't show up like a crisis to you like it does to the rest of the world, because
that's right.
You already know that there's something on the other side.
Yeah. And if we don't know that God is with us, then we really don't get the benefit of peace. It's kind of like, you're a mom. So it's like, can you imagine your children as kids being worried about how rent is going to be paid and mortgages and how they're going to eat? And you as mom already have that taken care of, but they're not aware of that. So they're stressed. But they don't have anything to be stressed about. So they don't even get the benefit of the peace of having a responsible mother.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes we kind of do that with God.
Yeah.
Because we're not aware of God and who God is in our life. And we really don't have a relationship with God. We have this, what people tell us God should be in our lives and all of that. So we don't get the benefit of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to forfeit that. I don't want to see anyone forfeit that.
That's beautiful, Kim. That is exactly why the first session of our work, we teach people how to breathe to center.
Yes.
Because it's like, if you want to know God, sit down and breathe. And if you tell me there's not a God, then let me see how long you can go without a breath.
Right. Exactly.
How long can you go without a breath? Okay, the case closed.
Right. We can start and stop right there.
And every religion on the planet is valid for who it serves, right? They don't have to be anything, because what you're doing over there, that works for you, but you still going to acknowledge that your breath is the most sacred aspect of your living.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So now tell me, Kim, how does aloneness correlate with being in relationship?
I don't think one can exist without the other. When I know they sound like the complete antithesis of each other, but they coexist. I feel like when we do aloneness appropriately, We know how to take accountability for ourselves. We know who we are. We know how to make ourselves happy, joyful, peaceful, whatever. And I feel like it's just kind of like the work that I do, how I coach. I coach people to have healthy relationships with themselves first. And then after that is when you can have healthy relationships with other people. So I feel like if you can get the aloneness right, relationships, it'll be a much better experience.
Yes.
Because we're allowing people to be them.
Yes. The first thing that came to mind was, well, what do you tell people that blame their mate for their misery?
Yeah. Yeah. See, you can't, if you're doing aloneness right, you can't blame them. I mean, you literally can't, because again, I choose how I react to things. That's all based on me. That has nothing to do with them. I like one of the 4 agreements that says nothing is personal.
Yeah.
And I really believe that. How you're acting towards me, even if it's lovely and sweet and wonderful, it's because of your perspective. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's not even because I'm the sweetest person. It's just how you choose to live and move and shake with other people. So it's the same way with me. I can control that. I control how I react to how you're acting. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to allow it to take me off my square. But I feel like when we do aloneness appropriately, that's when people get the best of you, and then it helps them give the best of them. Because they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. Because you're comfortable in your skin. You're not putting all this facade. You're not trying to be something you think I want you to be. You're just you. And I know, at least for me, I get real comfortable when I'm around people who's comfortable with themselves. Those are usually the people that operate in self-accountability, and they don't blame the world for where they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it allows me to shine in who I am when I'm in relationship with those people.
Now,
so that's what I think they have to do with each other.
Get used to that aloneness with themselves. And it's so interesting because here we are in quarantine, the whole freaking planet.
I know, right?
Go sit down and be by yourself.
Yep.
And then when you do see somebody, distance yourself if you go out.
Yeah.
So, Kim, how do you support? People are alone with themselves who have never had to deal with this feeling of aloneness, loneliness, by myself. They never had to deal with it. What can you...
Yeah, they're getting a crash course, I feel. And they can take this as an opportunity, which that's what I think it is. It's an opportunity. I have had friends contact me who are single as it relates to relationship status. Mm-hmm. And they're telling me now, I actually feel single during this time because I can't go out. I can't, the boo that I normally would hook up with, they may be sick. You know what I mean? And I can't be with them. They're like, oh, I'm actually feeling it now. Well, this is where you have to put your big boy and big girl clothes on. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like this is a time to coddle. I feel like it's a time to teach and be teachable.
Yeah.
If they don't fight against it, if they don't fight it and they just accept it and sit in it, like we were saying earlier, they're gonna see, man, I'm learning a lot about myself. I am way more genius than I ever thought I was. Like the aloneness, it doesn't just bring out what's not quote unquote right about you, or not right. It also brings out your gifts, your talents, some dreams you may have buried. That it helps bring forth all of those things. I even think that people are experiencing aloneness who are in the house full of people too, at this time, because they're so close, they're trying to get some bathroom time to themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like they're even learning how to like be okay with being alone. Like, let me get some alone time, because it's kind of hard when you're constantly with people in the house and you can't go anywhere. You're going to find yourself saying, I just want a little me time.
Wow.
It's a crash course, I feel like, for a lot of people.
You know, and that's really amazing. I think most of the people, and it's, since this has happened, I'm telling you, my phone and chat and everything has been lit up inside of those type of conversations. And so I have to support people in the way too of allowing them to experience that aloneness and not become their blanket, their security blanket. You know.
Okay, so you're not rescuing them.
No, that's our policy, right? That's our policy.
I know,
right? Because I do see this as a period, you know, and you know, I love the Bible. People know that I don't call myself a Christian, but I am a disciple of Jesus, and I'm a disciple of, you know, Muhammad and Krishnamurti and all of them, because all of them teach, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But you know, God will use even the worst thing to provide goodness for those who follow the law, right? You know, I mean, so this is all good. Right. It's just all good. And we can find that good. And hey, don't y'all blow me up because I misquoted, because, you know, I'm not being a theologian.
No, we understand. Yes.
Look, now I'm going to have to go find the Bible and find the exact.
Yeah, because you know how people.
But I'm telling you, this is that time, and we want to take advantage of it so that we can have a better version of ourselves when we come out of this.
Because we are coming out.
Yes.
6 months from now is going to come. And I don't want us to look back and say, oh, my goodness, all that time that I had, I could have done X, Y, Z.
You better say that.
I want us to, because it's coming. 6 months from now is coming. Yes. So we have to prepare now. I'm a strong believer in the saying, what God has for me is for me. And I agree with that. However, you have to be in a certain position to get it.
Yeah, you have to be.
If you are
that's
not
right.
there,
you won't.
You know, you can miss it.
Yeah. Because, you know, we have to really open ourselves to receive, you know, so much anger and condemnation. And I want to say to people, you know, I hear all these people, I'm like, I don't hear any love from you.
Where's the... I literally was conversing with someone on Facebook about that. And I said, where is the love?
Where is the love?
We can't say... You better believe in God and believe in God my way or else, and think that draws people.
No.
Like,
or even that scary. It serves them. It doesn't even serve them.
It doesn't serve them at all. Where is the love? Yeah, that's what we have to tap into. Even more.
Even more so. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think I asked you to be able to share with me what are your 3 takeaways from that actual, what are your 3 takeaways? Let me get these.
I wrote this. Okay. So one of the 3 is, I like the I'm going to quote something from the book in the aloneness section where it says, loneliness is the darkness that can lead you to the light. And I really, really love that part in that section. But when I read it, it made me think about exposure. And then so when I look up the word exposure, it's a state of being exposed to contact with something. And I think that's what aloneness does. It exposes us to ourselves.
Yes.
So if we allow that loneliness, if we feel it, even feel the darkness of that, let it lead us to the light, to exposure. And then another definition of exposure is the revelation of an identity or fact. So I think that's another thing that being led to the light does, is it will illumine us to ourselves.
Yes.
Almost reveal ourselves to ourselves.
Yes.
So that's one thing.
Okay.
the second takeaway is you don't have to hide from yourself. I have a practice that I have my clients do, where I have them write. I have them write 2 letters. One letter is to from who they are now to who they want to be, but I have who they want to be write a letter to who they are now. And a lot of them kind of don't like to do it, because what I find when we're talking to ourselves, we don't get to lie to ourselves. We know when we're lying to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. So instead of running from that or hiding from that, we need to lean into it. That's the second thing I got from it. And then the third thing is something that, we've said throughout the night, which is nothing is wrong with you.
Yeah.
I feel like when you, society conditioning, our BS, which is belief system, which usually we're kind of taught that. I feel like we're just conditioned so young to be kind of who we're not, that we're kind of told you need to be fixed. Something's wrong with you.
Well, after all, Kim, you were born a sinner. You do need to be fixed.
I mean, we were born a sinner, which please don't get me on that rant.
When I
because
yeah, right. Go
I
ahead.
don't get it. Oh, well, I was gonna say, okay. Now we're either born a sinner, or we're made in God's image and likeness, but we can't be both.
Yeah.
So which one? Which one is it?
Okay.
So yeah, this is why I'm learning or seeing. I have to really, really teach. Nothing is wrong with you. But you don't know that until you spend some real time with yourself. There was a time I was raised in church. I know how to do church. I know all that. But for 3 years, I was not going to anybody's church. And I have to say, that is when I grew spiritually the most during that time in my life, because there was no chitter chatter. There was nobody else's opinion. I was only hearing from God and my inner self. And that's really where I really, really found out, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Yes. Okay, that's my piece. But that's my 3 things. Yeah,
that's wonderful. It's so cool, because I went to church. I still love church. I do. I don't go to church. I don't attend anyone's church for probably 30 years now, at least. Probably about 30, maybe close to 30. But anyway, it's only because I love my relationship with God. I cherish. I tell people I don't let everybody in my ear, because if you don't vibrate with that frequency that I vibrate with love, you won't be talking to me.
I know that's right. Yes. But it's like that. It's that serious.
Yes. And then when some people try to say, I say, and are you coming to me in love? You have to check themselves, because I'm not receiving that.
That's right.
You don't get to be authority.
No.
Here.
Absolutely not. Yes.
So that is really, really great. Wow, Kim, how amazing. We could really
yeah, I know we can go on and on.
We can go on and on, and I know I appreciate people's listening. I appreciate their time. And I just wanted to share a little bit of this conversation, because this is a crash course.
It is.
And we all get to do this together. So, so now tell people, as we wind down, go ahead and tell people what you're up to, where they can find you. You said you have groups. How can they actually engage with you?
Okay. There's a few ways they can engage with me. Definitely on social media. On Instagram, I am Kim Perdue Official. And on Facebook, I am Kimberly Perdue. And you can even find me as Kim Perdue on Facebook as well. And then I have email, and I have a website. My website is kimperdue.com. It's very easy. My name, kimperdue.com. And they can email me, KimPerdueCoaches@gmail.com. Also, I am taking new clients. One person just finished my course, and when I tell you, I'm just so blessed because she's really an ideal client. Mm-hmm. And I asked God to give me those people that I'm assigned to, and it's so rewarding. So I am taking new clients, and I have just started something called Kim's DMs, and it is where it's like a strawberry letter of sorts. Mm-hmm. And I allow people to email me or send me a direct message on Instagram or Facebook, and they can, tell me an issue they would like for me to talk about. And what I do is I'll read their story. I do not tell their names or anything, but I get to read their story on live, and I answer their question. So they get a certified life coach answering a question that they have, and then the audience gets to engage as well and give their viewpoint. So that's really, I'm getting some amazing DMs.
That is
concerning that. Yeah.
You know, I love that. I tell people, I said, on a daily basis, I get to see the world change just from the people in my circle. Just it's just such a fulfilling thing to look at, and I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Service.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah. And then, so the other thing I wanted to say to you was that we had a conversation that at some point you too would be certifying life coaches.
Yes. Okay, no, let me not scream over the podcast.
No, yes, because we are creating something. We know that there needs to be a life coach at every dinner table.
Absolutely.
Whether they come,
I talked about you on my post today, and I said, my coach and leader is so amazing. She gave me a session in 6 minutes, and I have no idea what I was doing with my life before life coaches.
Oh, girl. Yes. I am surrounded by life coaches. I promise you, it's the most beautiful feeling in the world.
It is.
Yes, indeed.
Everybody should experience it.
Everybody should experience it. Mm-hmm. And then next week we also get to talk to Teresa Lugo, and I actually misstated that last week. But we're going to talk about meditation next week. And it's
I can't
great.
Wait to hear
it. That it's following aloneness. Because you even stated that part of your time in being alone is to spend time meditating. How cool is that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And y'all, please make sure you all tune in next week because that's going to be powerful. I can't wait.
Yes,
to tune into that podcast. Yes.
Well, Kim, I'm going to bring it to a close simply because I want people to be able to go and eat dinner or whatever they're going to do.
Yes.
With the rest of their time. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for the service that you provide. Thank you for your growth and transformation, because when each one of us take on ourselves, we really do transform the world, and we help other people to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. I had an amazing time. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm sure I'll see you on social media.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, love. Talk soon.
Okay.
All right, guys. See you next week when Patiently Waiting for Nothing, episode number 3, will bring you meditation with Teresa Lugo. Remember, we are ascending. The divine source of the universe.